Hello friends, and welcome to a video I did not think I would be making today. First of all, disclaimer, I'm sleep deprived and I have a headache and it's been a weird week, so who knows how this video will go. But I did want to address some things that came about due to my previous video, which was just me blabbing about Heated Rivalry for 15 to 20 minutes, and which I did not anticipate receiving some of the feedback that I did. So I wanted to talk about that. So in my last video, I talked about watching Heated Rivalry and gushed about what a good show I thought it was. And I admitted the fact that I fast-forwarded through a lot of the sex scenes. And people were really upset about that. It's been a long time since I've received this volume of negative comments on a video, and I definitely was not expecting it on this video. I should just know better than to post anything outside of the Heartstopper realm, because every time I do, I'm piss people off somehow. Don't get me started on the red, white, and royal blue original video. Yeah, so a lot of people really upset that I skipped the sex scenes. And so I wanted to talk a little more about why I fast forward through sex scenes and why we should allow people to consume media in the way that feels right for them. And not because some of the comments I received were saying, you're watching the show wrong, you're missing the fundamental point of the show. One of the ones that really bothered me was someone saying, I would expect this from a straight person, but not from, a member of the queer community. The implication there was that I was skipping the sex scenes because of some deep-seated, internalized homophobia that made me unable to see two men together. And I'm here to say I am not immune from internalized homophobia, internalized transphobia, but that's not what this is. So and to be clear, this is not me skipping sex scenes in Heated Rivalry only. This is me skipping sex scenes in any piece of media anywhere Bridgerton, oh my God. I skipped through so much of that show. So let me explain a little bit about why I personally fast forward through sex scenes. So first of all, I will say I have nothing against sex scenes. I think it's great that they're there. I think it's great that people enjoy them. For Heated Rivalry especially, I think it's great that those sex scenes exist, because I feel like this is the first piece of really mainstream media, something that has been this popular and has depicted queer relationships, specifically gay men, queer men, having quite graphic sexual encounters in a pretty positive, consensual, checking for consent and being a positive depiction of queer sex. And I understand that probably the reason why a lot of people who watched my video were upset was because historically, obviously, there's been a lot of suppression of being able to depict queer people in romantic situations and sexual situations. So there's a feeling of it's hard to separate the I am literally on the asexual spectrum versus, the super traditional conservative religious side of things being no, sex is bad, sex is wrong. So please don't misunderstand me. I think sex is great, okay? Sex is wonderful. There's nothing wrong with it. I love that it is being depicted. I think we should be more open about it. I think it's wonderful that we're able to introduce especially queer sexual relations into such a mainstream, media situation. But for me personally, I generally do not enjoy watching sex scenes. And here are some of the reasons why. Reason number one, as I mentioned, I am on the asexual spectrum. I am demisexual. I need an emotional connection with someone before I start to feel sexually attracted to them. this does extend also into the fiction realm, which is why I'm not a fan of books or media where people immediately jump into bed together, because I can't relate. It's missing the emotional connection that I need. Reason number 2. Okay, I'm someone who has like an extreme sense of secondhand embarrassment. So another kind of scene that I will absolutely fast forward if I'm watching something is a scene where someone is experiencing embarrassment, someone is being humiliated, someone's having a very awkward encounter. I will 100% fast forward. And this, I feel, connects to how I feel when I watch a sex scene in a piece of media. I feel like this intimate encounter is not for my eyes. And I understand that it's fiction, and there's not really a logical reason to feel that way, but that's how I feel. Like, I feel like I am spying on these two people having an intimate moment, and I should not be seeing this. So similarly to how I feel like the secondhand embarrassment when someone is having a humiliating scene in a piece of media, I feel like I am literally standing at their window, peeking in as they're having this intimate moment, and I just feel weird about it. I just feel like I shouldn't be seeing this. So that's another reason why I want to skip it. The third reason, which is a darker reason, is that I have some trauma, some long-standing trauma associated with sex, specifically with regards to men. And I don't usually mention that because, number one, it's something that I feel like I'm dealing with, and it doesn't affect me so much in my personal life, but it can still, the triggers are still there. And I don't want to further the incorrect stereotype that asexual people are ace because they went through some trauma. But regardless, sometimes seeing a sexual situation, especially involving a man, can trigger some buried things inside me. That doesn't happen a lot, but it is something that has happened before. So that is another reason. But regardless, okay, one of the main criticisms that I got based on me admitting that I skipped the sex scenes in Heated Rivalry, and to be clear, I didn't skip them so much as like hit the fast forward button once, jump ahead 5 seconds, jump ahead, jump ahead, jump ahead. So I'm still seeing the sex scenes. I'm just missing, like, I'm just moving more quickly through them. So one of the main criticisms I got was that I was not getting the full experience of the show by skipping the sex scenes. And I agree. Obviously, if you're skipping any part of a piece of media, you're not getting the full experience. But for me, it's more important to me that I enjoy the thing that I'm watching rather than get the full experience. I'll give you another example. I'm not good with gore. Like, gore is so difficult. Gore and violence of any kind are really difficult for me to deal with because I immediately feel those things happening to my own body, or just, you know, I take them very, like, the idea of someone being injured or hurt or killed, like, it feels really horrible. And it's weird that I have to explain that. Some people are able to disconnect what they're seeing on the screen from real life, but I can't do that in a lot of ways when it comes to gore and violence. So, like, my mind does not have that ability to disconnect from this person is being murdered and it's fictional and it's not real. My brain is like, this is real, this is horrible, I am traumatized forever. So, for example, I watched Stranger Things. I enjoy it a lot. It does have quite a lot of gore and violence. So I don't actually skip through it, but I have watched a lot of that show with my hand covering the screen. And that's what I do for gore and violence. I will cover the screen. And am I missing some fundamental part of the show? Yes, because I'm not watching all of it, and so I'm missing part of it. But if I watch it, I will be traumatized for a long time. So I'd rather enjoy the show. Now, this is not a perfect comparison because a sex scene is not going to cause me the amount of distress that gore and violence would cause. But it's a similar thing where, like, I don't enjoy watching those scenes, usually, And it does also depend on the day, honestly, confusingly. Like there are some days when I'll just be like, yeah, hey, let's watch the whole sex scene. I'm down for it. And there are other days where I'm like, I don't want to watch this. I just want to skip. And it's not any kind of judgment against those scenes. It's not me being like, ew, sex. It's just for all the many reasons that I listed and probably some that I didn't, I'm just not in a place where I want to see a sex scene. And it's interesting because like I feel like for so long we have fought for the right to have sex positivity. And that's fantastic. I'm so glad that we're moving in a direction where people are able to talk openly about sex, to not have to feel shame regarding it. But the unfortunate downside of that is that asexual people who just for whatever reason are not as into it, unfortunately get some negative feedback as a result, because I think people can misinterpret, I don't enjoy watching this, as this is bad and wrong and no one should enjoy watching it. I think that's the main thing I'm trying to express here in my long-winded, very weird way, is that just because I'm not into something, it's not a value judgment of any kind on that thing. It's just my personal feeling about it. Does that make any sense? I don't know. But regardless, the main point here that I want to make is that everyone has a different way of enjoying media and consuming media. I think it's important that we allow people to consume media in the way that is right for them. Like, I'll give you an example of something that drives me up the wall is when I'm watching a reactor and they're watching something, and instead of pausing the show and talking about it, they keep talking over the show and miss important dialogue, important plot points, things like that. And I'm just like, just pause it and talk and then start it up again when you're done talking so that you can give it the proper attention. I will watch that and be like, oh, you just missed the most important line. And I'm sure that that's how people felt hearing me say that I skipped the sex scenes, because like I know there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's a lot about how these two characters interact, how they are in this situation, and it's great. But I'm not upset that I skipped that part. So like, yeah, so I get it. But nonetheless, just as I must respect that for those people, they don't feel like they need the full experience of hearing every single line of dialogue and seeing every frame, every moment of that show. I want other people to respect, how I watch stuff. So the point that I want to make here is that everyone consumes media differently. Everyone enjoys media differently. Some people watch something straight through, listen to every word of dialogue, zone in on every single frame, and other people skip the gore, cover the gore, skip the sex scenes, fast forward through moments of embarrassment, secondhand embarrassment, or do any number of things. And all of those things are fine. I don't think any of us should say, you are wrong in the way that you consume this media. Because in the end, like, it's about us having the experience that is best for us and the experience that will allow us to best enjoy the show. So I don't regret the fact that I watched Heated Rivalry in the way that allowed me to enjoy it the most. Also, life is short. So, like, why would I take a thing that I'm watching for my own enjoyment and watch it in a way that I don't enjoy? Like, but regardless, nothing wrong with sex scenes. Sex scenes are great. I think Heated Rivalry is great. I think it's awesome that it's receiving so much attention and that so many people are loving it and watching it. I've really enjoyed hearing, especially from like straight hockey bros, watching it and getting really into it. I think that's awesome. Yeah. So from a humble asexual, please let me watch this show how I want to watch it. That would be awesome. Thank you. All right, that is all. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, I'm so tired. Like I'm tired. So I'm not sure if this made any sense, and I do not envy editor me having to stitch this together into something that possibly does make sense. But I'd love to hear your thoughts below. And yeah, like, is the lesson I should take from this, don't venture outside of Heartstopper because I'll get yelled at every time. I don't know. Like I legitimately lost followers after I posted this video. And it could have been a coincidence, but I don't know. People were pretty mad. Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your day or night or whatever time of day it may happen to be. I will see you next time. Huge thanks as always to our patrons who are amazing, fantastic, spectacular, terrific. And a special shout out to our Nick Nelson members, Paul Z, Kim Engel, Kent Smither, Angela Moondragon, and Tanya. All right. That's all from me. See you next time. Bye.